The Well of Ascension. Okay. So it's been 2 years since the events of Mistborn. And so Elend is now king or leader of Luthadel. And he's like, oh, my fucking father. His father, Straff, has brought his army to the gates of Luthadel, trying to take the ATM from them. At the same time, Vin, who weirdly looks like a creepy Egyptian, is defending Elend, and she's killing people, and she's fighting off a bunch of people who have ATM, so she's burning her ATM. She runs out of ATM, and she's like, oh, sir, I need my ATM. And then he jumps in front of her because she doesn't have any ATM and cuts himself. So she needs a new body for him because Osir, if you remember, is the contract from Kelsier. And so she got it after Kelsier died. So she's like, hey, I want a puppy. And he's like, oh, take one of these small puppies. She's like, no, I want the biggest boy you have. So Osir goes into this dog body. And so she gets a new version of him, and he just kind of follows her around. No, he doesn't do that. She starts seeing someone watching her. It's another Mistborn, and she can feel him. She also starts seeing someone in the mist. It looks like a figure. It looks like a person. She's not sure. Then we have Sazed. I don't know why Sazed is so big. Look, when I was making them, I thought I was making them 3 inches, and he was going to be 4 inches. I changed at the last second and made them 2 inches, and now he's still huge. He's supposed to be bigger because he's Terrasman, but he's not supposed to be this big. But he's huge, and I wasn't going to redo it. Sazed is going around village to village teaching different religions, and he starts seeing people dying in the mist. And Marsh shows up. We all remember Marsh, Kelsier's brother. And Marsh shows up, and he's like, the mists, Marsh, are killing people. And he's like, I don't care. Come with me. So they go to this little secret area where they make other Inquisitors, which Marsh is. And he sees this writing on the wall. It's all in metal. And he's like, oh my god, the terrorist people religion. What I've been searching for. Marsh, this is so cool. Marsh's like, don't look over there. That's how they make Inquisitors. So Sazed's like, I need to go home. So he starts going on the road home and sees a village of people who have all been killed by the mist during the day. And he's like, this isn't good. So he starts running home, puts on his copper bands, his metal mines. There we go. Breeze also is coming back to town, and he starts riding in a horse, and Vin jumps this high jump and stops all these different metals so Breeze can get through to the gates. He comes in, and he's like, hey, I have brought another army. And Ellen's like, why, bro? And he's like, so they can fight each other. He's like, good idea. So now there's 2 armies outside of Luthadel. So they go back inside the gates of Luthadel. And Osir's like, there's another body of a conjurer. So one of the team has become a conjurer. So the Watcher looks like Ellen for no reason whatsoever. And the Watcher guy comes and he's like, hey, Straff will meet you on Wednesday, October 24th at 11:26 to be precise. And she's like, it's him. It's the Watcher. So she follows him outside. And he's doing these cool stunts where he's hanging between buildings. And she's like, wow, he's better than Kelsier. He's so cool. She then starts reading up on the journals because she's like, hey, I don't know why I feel like the hero of ages. And she reads up on the old journals of the hero of ages. Get out of here, stupid hair. And she's like, I'm having the exact same experiences. That's that's the Watcher, the guy who looks like Elend. We're going to Straff's town, village, tent, army. This guy, whose name is Zane, he's like, Straff, I hope your food isn't poison. He's like, it's poison? And he walks away. He's like, call my mistress an antidote to heal me. So she does. Says going home and runs into these giant people, and they have their skin all pulled off, and they're pulled off their mouth and their eyes. They kind of remind me of Attack on Titan. I don't know which one came out first. So there's these giant guys who have these giant swords, and they will just fight each other, and they're the Koloss. And so Sazed's like, take me to your leader. He's like, okay. So they... And the leader's one of Ellen's old friends. And he's like, we're going to Luthadel. We have 20,000. I don't care if you tell the king. We also see another terrorist person, and she's talking to Ellen. And she's like, hey, you need to dress like a king and walk like a king. He's like, okay, sure. So she starts teaching him how to be a king. Ellen goes to Straff and brings his mistborn, who's also his girlfriend, Vin. As they sit down to dinner, he goes, Father, let us join alliances against Set. He's like, no, son, you're stupid. And he's like, damn it. Our traitor in the midst has given us up. And then at the same time, Vin starts pulling on the king's emotion. He's like, see, father, I have someone so powerful. She will kill you. And so he's like, Zane up there is like, hey, why are we the knives? For these rich people. As they're coming home, they step out and they're given a scroll. And the scroll reads, Elend, you are hereby relieved of your duties. So he's no longer king. They hold an assembly meeting in order to nominate a new king, which Elend is still a part of. Like, we nominate Set. Set's the other army that came, that Breeze brought. And so he's like, okay. And then Set steps out of the... Well, he doesn't step out because he's in a wheelchair. He's like, I will defend you against the Koloss. And he's like, oh no, I didn't tell them about the Koloss yet. So Vin goes to Sazed, and she's like, Sazed, I see someone in the mist. I might be the hero of ages. He's like, maybe. Looking for the Conjurer amongst her crew, she starts to follow Captain Demi, one of Ellen's captains. Zane shows up, and they have a nice little sparring match. Sazed and the new terrorist woman, Twindle, start going over the fact that Vin might be the hero of ages, and they start pouring over facts, and she's like, I'll stay for you. I was a breeder, but I don't want that anymore, because Sazed, as a terrorist person, is a eunuch because the Lord Ruler was against terrorist people reproducing. And so she's like, I just want love from you. And he's like, I kind of want that too. They don't actually kiss. Do they? I don't think so. During the vote for king, thugs start showing up to fight and try to kill Elend. So Vin takes him down, and the last thug, she uses Duralium, which really enforces all of the mistborn powers, and smashes this guy right in the head. Shatters in front of him. Ellen's like, oh my gosh, Vin. Oh my gosh. And she's passed out now. In Ellen's rules for the city, he writes that if no one is voted king within the first 24 hours, then the person who was king remains king. So the assembly meets, and they vote for Set, and they vote for Penrod, who's this other guy in the village. And Penrod's about to win. Penrod. Let's go with Penrod. Sounds a lot better. And the two people who voted for Set are like, hey, we're changing our vote to Penrod. So Penrod goes and meets Straff, who is Ellen's father. And he's like, hey, they made me king. The city is yours. They had a pact the whole time. At the same time, Zane's like, hey, what time is it, my lord? You should probably go back because you're poisoned. And he rushes back, and his mistress comes in. Get out of here, Sazed. So his mistress comes in, and she's like, it was never poison, my lord. It was opium. He's like, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill Zane. He kills his mistress in a blinding, opium-filled rage. Vin is laid up in the hospital, and Zane shows up, and he's like, keep yourself alive. And he throws her some atium. Zane's like, hey, we should do something about Set. And she's like, you're right. So they go, and they kill all of Set's men. Well, not all, but most of them. And they go up to the tower, and she has him underneath her knife. And she's like, leave and never return. So he's like, all right, cool, peace. So he leaves, and it's only Straff now. Straff then is like, hey, kill Zane. Zane barely escapes with his life. Then Zane comes over, and he's like, hey, come with me, Vin. She's like, no, I love Elend, even though you're his brother. Yeah, we find out that Zane is Elend's half-brother. And she's like, that's why he looked like him. Anyways, so we find out that Elend's half-brother Zane was like, come with me. And she's like, no. She's like, fine, then I'll kill you. She's like, no, my ATM. And so Osir's like, no, I can't, mistress. He's like, he was the traitor all along. So then he turns on his ATM, and she's like, I can't beat him without ATM unless I don't think about it. I just do. So she goes to move left, but then moves right, slices him in the throat, killing Zane. Osir also tells her a secret that she can control him. Old mistborns used to be able to, so she uses a Duralium push and can control him. He has to go back to make the contract right again. Zid and the group all meet. Breeze and Twindle and a couple other people meet, and they're like, hey, we have to send the two heroes up north. That way they get out of the city. The city's about to be attacked by Koloss and Straff. And they're like, yeah, for sure. Vin and Elend leave the city. Straff tries to get them and kill them, but they're too fast, and she's mistborn. Straff's like, all right, we're leaving too. And they go hide behind a rock just so that the Koloss will attack, and then they'll take over the city after the Koloss have been beaten down the city. So Koloss get to the city gate, and they're hitting down the gate, and Sazed is turning on his metal mines, and he turns into this big beefy guy, and he's like, hold! Hold! And he's holding against the gate, and they're pushing against it, and all of his friends die. Twindle dies, Clubs dies, and Ham dies. All squished by Kolos. Sorry, guys. As they're up north, who they took Spook with them, who was the Tin Eye from the first one, if you remember. She's like, I keep feeling the pulses less and less up here, but I keep feeling it from Luthadel. So Spook's like, yeah, sorry, my uncle said it was the only way to get you out of the city. She's like, no! So she pewter drags all the way back to the city. She gets to the city. She realizes that the Kolos are also part of the Lord Ruler's plan, so she uses Duralian Push and takes control of the Kolos. She takes them to Straff. She cuts off Straff's head, and she's like, the world belongs to the Emperor now to Set. And Set's like, yeah, that's cool with me. Like, we'll join with Helen. We don't mind. She feels the pulses from the Thousand Spires, so she goes back there, and she pulls open a secret room that exposes the Well of Ascension. She's like, I know what I must do. I must take the power and then give it up, unlike the Lord Ruler. At the same time, that Miss Spirit comes back, slices Ellen in the stomach, so he's all dead and dying. And she's like, I'm going to have to give him up. Ellen, I'm sorry. Sazed runs in. He gets his arm sliced. His arm wasn't actually supposed to fall off, but it fell off. I don't know how. So he's like, no, wait, I reread all the stuff in Steel. Steel is the truth. Vin, it's a trap. Marsh comes back, who's now being controlled, and he starts fighting Sazed and stabs Sazed, and Sazed is about to die, but it's metal inside of him, so he uses them as copper mines and fights against Marsh. She's like, all right, I will let go of the power. She lets go of the power, and it turns out that was Rune the whole time, and the Miss Spirit was trying to actually help Elend. And that's why she stabbed it, so that she would take the power. Because you have to take the power. So she's seeing Ellen die, and she sees something at the bottom of the well. She grabs it because the Miss Spirit tells her to grab it. She feeds it to Ellen. Nom, 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 nom. Ellen becomes a mistborn. Da-da-da. The end.